All right, buddy. Welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for taking time out of your Thanksgiving and coming on the
Appreciate it,
show.
man. Appreciate it, man. It's my pleasure, man. I'm
Thank you.
glad to be here.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. So, I guess the first question I want to start out asking you is what inspired you to want to wrestle?
Man, to be 100% honest, originally I was a bodybuilder. I was competing as a bodybuilder. My dreams were to, be the best bodybuilder, be Mr. Olympia, Mr. America, Mr. Universe, you name it. And it was actually my brother who has passed away. He was a big, huge wrestling fan.
Okay.
Um, my younger brother, he you know collected comic books,
Nice.
superheroes and all that other stuff. And I did that when I was a bit younger, and I handed it all to him. And of course, I moved on and started doing other things.
Hmm.
And as I said before, bodybuilding was my number one priority. And one day, he was actually came to see me at the gym. He wanted to start working out, and I said, "Sure." I said, "Come on in." The owner of the gym was a very good friend of mine, so it was free. So I said, "Hey, listen, my brother's going to start training." He said, "No problem."
Nice.
So I started realizing my brother was a huge wrestling fan. He would talk about the older guys, Pedro Morales and uh, Bruno Sammartino and all,
Yes.
all the original guys. And that's when I took a little bit of notice. But by that time, you had Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man. So he kept he kept almost nagging me. He said, "Dell, you need to be a wrestling guy, man. You're big. You're just like them." And I was like, "Nah." I said, "I don't want to do that, Jimmy." I said, "But if you like that, go ahead and do it." So I surprised them one night. Well, actually, one day I realized over the radio that they were going to be in Madison Square Garden. WWF
Okay.
was going to be in Madison Square Garden, and I thought to myself, "Wow!" I said, "All right." I said, "I'm going to surprise Jimmy with some tickets." Now, the deal with my brother was he was born with damaged kidneys, so he had a really
Oh,
bad condition. And to be totally, upfront with you, I always felt a little guilty because I was so healthy and I was able to
mhm,
do anything, and he
mhm.
wasn't able to do. He was always in and out of the hospital, on
Oh, wow.
dialysis,
Wow.
every kind of medicine you can imagine. So it kind of uh, it kind of made me feel bad. You know what I mean? I almost felt bad, but he was such a trooper about it. He was born and he knew, these are the cards that were dealt to him, and he just dealt with it. And I thought
Mhm.
that was such a strong thing from him. Anyway, I shocked him and I told him, "Hey, uh, you got anything to do tonight?" And he said, "No, no, no. I'm just going to train, eat, and then go home." I said, "I'll tell you what, let's go to Madison Square Garden." He goes, "No, really?" And I said, "Yeah." So he was surprised. So I was fortunate enough to get some really good tickets. It was probably the fourth, maybe third or fourth row from ringside.
Nice.
Right.
Nice.
And then so I remember it was, I took him and my girlfriend at the time, and we went out to Madison Garden. Now, mind you, I'm doing this for him, and I thought, okay, this is entertaining.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so you had that night. It was Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, in the main event, and Ultimate Warrior. And
Nice.
so a funny thing happened. One of the ushers, I'm not sure if he was an usher or security guard. He was walking by the aisles while one in between one of the matches, and he stopped by our row, and he turned around and faced me, and he says, "What are you doing here? You should be inside there."
Oh my God.
Oh, right. And I looked over at my brother. He said, "See, I told you. I told you." So, excuse me. So, I, you know, I I thought, okay, this might be an idea, but I kind of wanted to charm him a little bit. Now, before all this, I was a magician. I did magic.
Okay.
I mean, and actually, I was pretty serious into magic, and I had competed in a few magic competitions around the country
Oh,
and stuff. So I was pretty established, and I had a good friend of mine who was also a teacher of mine, Jeff McBride, who's he's very, very accomplished, very, very known. He's taught guys like Chris Angel and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
an assortment of all kinds of guys. He had a certain act. He was the originator of this act. He did a pantomime act with the white face and the black lips and all that, and it was an unbelievable act. And I thought to myself, okay. I said, these guys, because this is the era of Doink the Clown, and this is the face paint with the warlord and all that stuff. And here
Yes,
I
yeah.
am, I'm about 300 pounds, and I thought, okay, I can come up with this character like Jeff McBride, and but I'm a big guy, and I can do magic, and
Oh,
that's how I can win the matches, And this is just me thinking, and so at the time, the girlfriend I had was actually training Charles Koppelman, who was the owner of EMI Records in New York City, and one of his lawyers was Vince McMahon's lawyers. So
oh,
she came to me. She goes, "Hey," she goes, "I just talked to Charles, and I told him what we did the other night, and that you might be thinking about, getting involved in that." And he said, "Well, let me know, because I can't remember the name of the lawyer."
mhm.
But he said that he might be able to put in a good word. And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." So that's when things started to take off, man. And at that point, I just said, "All right, you know what I mean? Let me see what happens," because I was spending all this money bodybuilding, but when you win a show, you don't win nowhere near what you spent on it already. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
No, absolutely not.
Oh,
You spend a
wow.
few $1,000s on prepping for a show, and then you get a trophy, and a few dollars here and there. If you get a sponsor, you might get your supplements free and maybe a few bucks, but there's really no money in bodybuilding back then.
Oh, I never
Now
knew
the
that.
higher tier bodybuilders make good money, and
Oh, okay.
the way I made my money was I was a personal trainer,
Gotcha.
and and me winning shows and kind of endorsed the fact of my knowledge and stuff. But finally, what I did was Jeff McBride's brother was a photographer, so I said, "Hey," I said, "let's get together, take a couple of shots, and I could send them over to Titan Towers, WWF, and see what they say or whatever." Anyway, I took some impressive shots. Remember, I was a big guy. I was
Yeah.
almost 300 pounds, and I put the face paint on, and in the pictures, I looked great. I had the
Yeah,
face paint,
exactly.
and I practically, and I laugh about it because I stole Jeff McBride's act, his look. You know what I mean? I say that because I didn't say anything until I ran into him in New York City. I'll never forget it, on 56th Street and 8th Avenue. I ran into him, and we hadn't seen each other in a minute. And he goes, "Good Lord, you bulked up." And I said, "Yeah." I told him what I was doing, and I says, "Hey, I kind of have an image or look like yours." And he goes, "Oh, well, I don't care, because that's a whole different industry." You know what I mean? It's not like I took his look and started
Oh,
doing magic. I took the look and started using it in a whole different type of business. So he was pretty cool with it. So all this is great. The look is fantastic. I had some magic that I was going to do on the way to the ring. I'm thinking of performing.
yeah, of
The biggest
course.
thing was I didn't know how to wrestle. So I joined Johnny Rod's School of Professional Wrestling in Brooklyn,
Mhm.
and I started learning to take bumps, to fall on my back and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Johnny was busy with a lot of other things. He never really, I can't really say I learned anything from Johnny, but Vito Lagrazzo, which, he performed as Big Vito
Yeah.
and Skull Von Crush. He did, a
Hmm.
number of things. And he was more of a mentor to me in the
Oh,
wrestling
wow.
business. Yeah, he didn't have to do that. And he was a good guy, good heart. And he helped me through. He helped me through the whole thing. And he really was a major part of me getting a contract with WWF. Because he prepped me for this tryout. See, so behind the scenes, I was okay. My girlfriend had got the tape to to WWF, to the office. They saw
Okay.
it, and then they wanted to give me a tryout. So I was glad they gave me a few weeks. You know, JJ Dillon called me and said, we'd like to take a look at you, and we're gonna be at
Oh,
Manhattan,
nice.
the Manhattan Center, which is where they were having the Monday Night Raw. And I said, okay. And I had like 4 weeks to prepare. Believe it or not, what I'm saying is my first professional match as a professional wrestler was a tryout with WWF, which
Really?
is, which I can say this now because back then, had I said that, I probably would have been a blackballed, or because, the wrestling business, it's changed a bit, but back then you had to pay your dues. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah, of course. Yeah.
There was no ways around it.
Yeah.
And I got I well, the proof is in the pudding. I got away with it because they put me on the contract. I was the very first developmental because they put me on the contract. I remember meeting with Vince and a couple of the other guys, and they said, "Well, we want to put you on the contract, but we're going to send you to Memphis, Tennessee, to work
Oh,
with Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee, Channel 5, USWA." So I agreed and said okay, and that's when my professional wrestling career started to take off.
oh,
There in
wow.
there in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah, because I know that was where in USWA
Yes,
is where is like your first big gig. That's
yes.
when you started at and wrestled, and that was where you created the spell
Well, Spellbinder
binder
actually,
gimmick.
Spellbinder was created already.
Oh,
Spellbinder
okay.
was, yeah. The only thing is that they when I did the WWF tryout in the Manhattan Center, they called me Del Rios, and then a
Mm-hmm.
few other times that I did TVs. One time they called me Magnificent Maurice. They never would call me by Spellbinder, and I guess because it wasn't theirs. Spellbinder was mine. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
I copyrighted it
oh,
and
wow.
patented it exactly. So it's my property. When they decided, okay, we're gonna bring you in and let you do your TV, debut, and uh, they were searching for a name, and I came up with Fantasio.
Oh, really?
Yes, I came up with the name Fantasio, and I spoke to them, and I said, they can call me Fantasio, but not to confuse everybody because of Fantasia, the Disney deal. I told them use the PH, Fantasio, with
Yeah.
the same, and I mean they went with it, and that's how I got started. I was Spellbinder in USWA and any other show that I was on,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what the company was, uh, same as in Puerto Rico or anywhere, I was always Spellbinder because
Yeah.
that was actually my name. Fantasia, of course, once WWF took it, it's theirs, so
Well, yeah, of
you don't use
course.
it anymore.
Yeah. Wow. And like you were with the USWA for a few years
Yeah, well,
before actually going on WWF television.
right. So I would go back and forth. A lot of people didn't know this. I would go. They had me doing a lot more house shows. I did other TV tapings as well, but they just
Yeah.
never showed them. You know what I mean? But
Oh.
I worked a bunch of the guys, I remember, so see, here's how it went. So I was doing USWA, and then and USWA worked 5, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, but then, I would get a call. Okay, you're flying out Tuesday to this town, and then you go to this town, this town. So let's say I would leave on Monday after the Mid South Coliseum. I would leave on a Tuesday morning and then work a New York show, a WWF show, uh, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. Then I'd fly back to USWA and
Oh my
work there.
God.
So I was constantly working, always. So
Wow.
to me, it didn't make a difference. You know what I mean? I was on the road and working every night, whether it was Fantasio or
We're
Spellbinder.
spellbound.
Right. So it was just
Wow.
a repetitive. I just kept going back and forth. You know what I mean? And I was taught by really good guys, Bruno Lauer, um, which he played Harvey Whippleman, and the
Hmm.
Brooklyn Brawler Steve Lombardi. They were
Yeah.
really good guys, and they always told me, they'll just keep your mouth shut. You know what I mean? Don't say
Yeah,
nothing.
exactly.
Just and I learned to do that. You know what I mean? And then, uh, you keep your mouth shut and you keep getting your check. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that's
true.
at the end
True.
of the day, that's what it was. It was a job. You know what I mean? And you were making money. And I was in a good place. I was getting a check from USWA, and I was getting a check from WWF. So
Oh my God. Yeah, that's
right.
great.
Plus, get more, picture selling and
Yeah.
all the other merchandise. So I had no problems. I was happy. I was fine doing what I was doing.
Wow. Okay. And what would you say you did tricks for wrestling? Like you always did magic
Yeah,
tricks
yeah. I always
and
did magic because that's what the spellbinder was.
yeah,
He was a
yeah.
magician. You know what I mean? So
Both of them were right. The
right
spellbinder.
on the way to the ring, I do some type of magic trick, whether it's taking my gloves off and turning them into a dove,
Yes.
or doing something with fire, or pulling stuff out of my mouth, or even doing card flourishes and stuff like that. It was visual. So I remember when I turned heel, I was a bad guy, and I would use magic to beat the guys. You know what I mean?
Nice. Nice.
Whether I was like throwing an explosion in their face with smoke, or making a cane appear while the referee was turned around and hit him with the cane, and then so it was entertaining. I was having fun with it. You know what I mean? It was
Oh
just
yeah.
something different, and it's still something different. It was back in the day, the villain, the heel would take the chain out of his pants, put him back in.
Yeah,
But
yeah, of course.
I was doing magic, you know what I mean, to win. So it was
That is
different,
so
and people,
awesome.
it got good heat, that's for sure. So
Oh yeah.
uh, so I enjoyed either way, whether it was a
Okay.
good guy or a bad guy. I I had a good time.
Nice, nice. And when you were with the USWA, like Jerry Lawler, when
Yes,
he was in the WWE, like the
yes.
he didn't get like that crowd reaction that he got home at USWA. Like
No, I
to
mean, he
wrestle
was the
Jerry
king.
Lawler there was
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, no, in Memphis, he was the king of Memphis. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And he was a instrumental part of me. See what happened, Jerry Lawler's son Brian and myself, we were
Hmm.
best friends. He was in my wedding, I was in his wedding,
Oh
yeah, we
wow.
were really, really super, 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 I mean, pretty much inseparable. We would ride to all the shows together, even whether we were in USWA or WWF,
Yeah.
WWE. We were always together. We would ride together, and of course, when we were on the road in USWA, when it was me and Brian, his dad would come ride with us. So it was me,
Oh,
Jerry
nice.
Lawler, and Brian Christopher. So here that now we got two guys that are legends in the sport that were teaching me and teaching me the do's and the don'ts of in the ring and out of the ring and how to act, as a professional person and how to keep your respect and stuff like that. And Brian and I would spend all the time in the gym. We didn't party too much, you know what I mean? And that
Okay.
wasn't a knock on anybody else. That's just not what we did all the time. Would we go to a club or to a restaurant after the show? Yeah, sometimes, you know what I mean? But I can guarantee you that we were in bed early enough to be in the gym the next morning. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
wow.
At that time, Brian didn't drink, didn't do anything.
Yeah, yeah.
I, till this day, have not ever had a drink or a beer or anything,
Oh,
or
wow.
smoked a cigarette or anything like that. No. So, never tried any type of drug,
Yeah.
in my life, If we're going to get technical now, because anybody that wants to listen and say, well, what do you mean you didn't take drugs? I did use anabolic steroids, you know what I mean? So I'm
Okay.
not trying to tell anybody I'm a saint, so I use plenty of those, but as
Yeah.
far as anything to, get high or get drunk or anything, no, I have not, or I never did.
Oh, wow. Okay. 'Cause I think Punk is actually the same way. Like
CM
CM
Punk,
Punk,
yes,
like I
drug
don't think
free,
like he
yeah.
ever did drugs or
Right,
drank.
yeah, and that's just the thing, you know what I mean? That of the individual, you know what I mean? I not knocking anybody else that did it. That was their thing, and you know, it was plenty of that going on around me. You know
Oh
what I
no,
mean?
yeah.
So but again, that's their thing. I didn't knock them for it, and it's their life. You know what I mean? So it was okay with me.
Okay, okay. And out of all the time, all of your bouts between WWF and USWA and everywhere else that you wrestled, like
Yeah.
who do you think was the toughest match you ever had?
Wow, man. You see, here's the thing about USWA. I remember, and this happened a couple of times, Jerry Lawler having a meeting. And this was actually at the Mid-South Coliseum. He called all the boys in the room, and he had the referees in there, and he said, listen, he said, guys, I'm going to tell you something. I don't want to see any fake looking moves. I don't want to see any fake looking punches.
Oh
I don't
wow.
want to see anything stupid. I said, this is professional wrestling. Now, mind you, USWA loosened up a little bit at the end, but they were very serious about their wrestling, man. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
If you were,
definitely.
listen, in the South, whether it was Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Louisiana, even when we went to some parts of Missouri, when you were a good guy, they loved you. But when you were a bad guy, they wanted to kill you. If you
Oh,
did your job the right way, they wanted to kill you. And I can tell you that, put it this way, one time, Sid Vicious and myself, Sid Vicious, rest in peace. It was him and myself. We were tagging against Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee. It was, and I'll never
yeah.
forget it. It was in Osceola, Arkansas, and the place was slammed. There wasn't. I mean, it was. I remember being in the ring and looking around and saying, "Good Lord, there's just no area to walk." You know?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was that packed. I can't remember. Not Brian and I, Sid and I got some heat somehow, and a riot broke out. It was just people were going crazy, and I
Oh my
remember
God.
Bill and King had gotten out of the ring for something. Either that or they never made it in. I can't remember, but I remember Sid coming up to me and saying, "Hey, stay in the ring." And I said, "Yeah, okay." Now they're all they're all yelling and cussing us like they want to kill us. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I remember backing up into one of the turnbuckles to say, okay, nobody's going to sneak behind my back. You know what I mean? So
Well, yeah.
nobody here. And I remember, my foot, something thudding on my foot. You know what I mean? And I remember looking down to my left. It was like this 80-year-old woman, man, punching my foot and cussing me like a dog. Every F word, every B word, whatever. And I just looked at her like, get away from me.
Yeah.
But that's what the South was. Now, when you went up north to WWF and WWE, it was entertainment.
Well, yeah, exactly.
It was entertainment. So going back to the meeting, Jerry Lawler wanted to keep it real. You know what I mean? They wanted to keep the wrestling real. So, he said, especially on TV, he says TV was live. You couldn't cut it. You couldn't edit
That's
it.
true.
It was live. So you couldn't do it again. So you had to do it right. So, I mean, there was some pretty vicious, like I've never been so hit. I've never been hit so hard on my back with a chair before, like with one of the Moondogs hit you.
Damn.
Larry, I can't remember his last name. Larry Latham. He was one of the original Moondogs.
Yeah, yeah.
And oh my God, when he hit me, I thought something exploded. I mean,
Oh
that's
my
how.
God.
And I remember not being able to sleep that night because that's how bad my back hurt with the shot. And the camera was right on him. So I get it. You know what I mean? I mean, back then I wanted to kill him,
Well,
but
yeah, of
I get
course.
it. You know what I mean? I remember Miss Jackie, uh, Miss Texas. She slapped Bruno Harvey Whippleman so hard on the
Yeah.
side of the face it busted his eardrum. I
No.
mean, yeah, they were shooting, and hard matches. If you're asking me hard as far as physicality, I would have to say, I would have to say, um, Vampire Warrior was hard. I'll never forget that.
Oh, get out. Wow.
When he hit you, Mike, good guy, man, sweetheart, good guy in the back. But when he got in there, he did his character.
Yeah.
When he nailed you, it was for real. You know what I mean? It was,
Damn.
yeah, he was. You know, God love him, but I didn't think he was working. I said, oh my God, this guy's shooting.
Oh my God.
But yeah, because when you work guys like Jerry Lawler or Brian Christopher or Bill Dundee, you didn't feel anything, man. It was a night off.
Well,
So
yeah, because they're
as
pros.
far as hard or difficult, they can call whatever spot they wanted to, or they can whatever they wanted to do was fine. You know what I mean? When I say hard, physicality,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. That.
Okay.
Kane was hard. He was very physical.
Yeah, that's right. He was there. Yeah.
He was there.
Mhm.
And to be totally honest with you, everybody was there. You name it. I worked them. Later on, it was the guys like, John Cena and all those other guys, those new
Yeah.
guys that came in that I didn't get to work because by that time they were coming in and I was semi-retired.
Okay.
I had started competing as a bodybuilder again. I had done the
Oh, okay.
Spellbinder character about 17 years. So I kind of needed a break. You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
of
I was like,
course.
all right, let me just relax. And, I've always loved to work out and train and stuff. So they came back up, and now it's just a whole different, it's a whole different era now. You
Yeah,
know,
no, it definitely is.
right? And what's brought me back, they had Randy Hales in Memphis inducted me into the Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Okay.
In September. So I just started feeling it again. You know what I mean? So I'm doing appearances again. Whether they're
Oh,
Comic
nice.
Cons, Wrestle Cons. I can get in the ring again. I've gone in the ring a few times already.
Oh, get
So
out.
I'm doing them again, and a lot of people interested. They hadn't seen the Spellbinder or Phantasio in a long time. So
Yeah.
I'm putting my face paint on and going out there again and doing my thing. And let's see how it goes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
when
I
you were
mean, and I realized that, that's who I am. That's what I did, you know what I mean, for 20 years.
oh yeah, I I used to love watching that because I used to watch I used to watch the USWA, and I remember when you were wrestling, like
Yeah.
I loved the character. I was always drawn to like horror gimmicks, like I know that's not horror, but it
No,
looks like
no, but
horror.
it's different.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, it's
different.
different.
Well,
Like,
Jerry Lawler was a huge, huge horror fan.
oh really?
Yeah, he's a huge horror fan. He loves costumes and superheroes and aliens
Oh,
and all that other stuff. Yeah, so he really liked my character. You know what I
nice,
mean? And that's why
nice.
he pushed it a lot. You know,
Yeah.
and I mean, I remember rehearsing a few things, a few magic things in his living room. He wanted to see it before we put it on TV, so I'd go to his house and show you. As a matter of fact, back in the day when I was wrestling as Del Rios, um, and that was Jerry Lawler came and told me that. Jerry Lawler came and said, "Hey, I love that character, the Spellbinder. I love it, but
Yeah.
you're not accomplished as a wrestler." He told me. He goes, you still need a lot of work, and you if you keep messing up and doing that, you're gonna kill that character. So I'm gonna tell you what, let's do the right thing for yourself. I'm gonna take that character off you, and I'm gonna let you wrestle as yourself for a while. And it kind of hurt my feelings, you know what I mean? But I said, okay. I always did what I was told. That's
Of
one thing. I
course.
never argued about a finish or what I was supposed to do, or I always kept my mouth shut and just did it. And when he thought I was ready to turn into the Spellbinder again, we did a whole we did a whole angle on TV with it with Skull Von Crush with Vito, and
Nice,
and it was
nice.
and it was great, and you could find it on YouTube. I did some magic in the beginning as well, and then Vito comes out, and then we do the whole spiel, and it worked out really good.
Oh, okay. And I know Macho Man was there for like a short period of time too.
Yes,
Did you
yeah,
ever get
yeah, yeah. Macho was there.
to work Macho?
Yeah, well, I never worked him one on one, but we were in a
Hmm.
few battle royals together.
Oh,
Yeah,
sweet.
but he was a good, super good guy. You know what I mean? Mark was there, Undertaker. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And Tatanka came in. Scott Hall came in. Uh, Maven came in. Everybody came in. It's like what they said. If anybody that did anything in WWF or WWE came through
Was there.
Memphis first, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
No matter what, they came through
Definitely.
Memphis. So when Jerry Lawler had to go do a Monday Night Raw or anything, WWF, WWE would send somebody, one or two people to Mid South Coliseum. You know what I mean? So we would have type of power, and then partner, and then we did an angle where I was his roadblock. So if anybody wanted a shot at Sid's title, they had to beat me first. And
Oh
so most of the
wow.
time, they wouldn't beat me because they couldn't get to him, which is what the angle was. He would always get involved in the match. You know what I mean? We would do the match, and I would almost lose it, and then he'd come get involved, and you see what I mean? So it was a good angle. It was excellent. You know what I mean? So it was a
Oh,
lot
that's
of fun.
great.
Absolutely,
That's great.
absolutely.
I love
Yes.
it. And when you aren't wrestling, like what do you like doing during your free time when you're not involved with wrestling?
Man, I like to relax. I still practice some magic. I
Oh,
enjoy doing
nice.
that. Um, and or my wife and I will go out and enjoy, dinner, or uh, you know, um, we do go to church. I go to church, so I'll speak at some youth councils as well.
Oh,
You know what I
wow.
mean? And I go speak to speak at churches as well. I was born and raised in the Lower East Side of Manhattan and Brooklyn, New York, which was pretty rough. And I grew up in a rough neighborhood,
Yeah.
and I try to tell people about my life, about, how things got low in my life from growing up in New York to, almost dying. I got shot in the Bronx, in
Oh my
Bronx, New
God.
York. Yeah, I got shot. That was about 25 years ago. I got shot. We were up in New York, and I almost lost my life.
Mm.
I actually, flatlined by the time I got to the hospital, and
Oh
they
my
couldn't
God.
bring me back. They couldn't bring me back. They were trying everything, heart, everything. The I don't remember what they call the things that shock you, but they tried to do that. But I was in Jacoby Hospital, which is probably one of the number one hospitals in the United States for trauma.
Oh,
And
okay.
that day, there was a certain surgeon there that had practiced cardiac heart massage. And what happens with that is somebody's flatlined or somebody's heart has stopped. As a last resort, they will slice they will slice his body in the middle, right on the side,
Mm.
underneath your armpit, and they break a rib and actually stick their hand in you and start massaging your heart with their hand.
What?
And that's exactly how they brought me back.
Oh my God.
Exactly right. You know what I mean? So,
I
now
never heard of
now
that.
what they say is God guided his hand to massage my heart. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
got life back into me. So I tell people, all about that and how not to be in that situation. You know what I mean? Because I got myself involved in that, doing bodyguard work for drug dealers. And
Mm.
it's easy to get sucked in, and I understand when people get sucked in because you start getting easy money, and the money's easy,
Of
and you're
course.
living a good life, and you can buy whatever you want, but there's always going to be a catch to it. You know what I mean? You you're always going to pay back somehow. You know what I mean? You don't get nothing in this life you don't deserve, and I learned that. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things I learned. You don't get anything without working for it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, exactly.
so I uh, I learned from that, and I met my wife, and she was really involved in church groups, and her family.
Hmm.
And I needed a change. You know what I mean? I needed a change. In my life, and that's when we were talking, and this is when we were first dating and stuff. And I said, "Wow, okay, this is different." You know what I mean? This is totally different, and that grounded me more. And I'm able to tell young folks and tell them, hey, I went from the streets of New York City to
Yeah.
doing the wrong thing to almost losing my life to working and getting back into the swing of things and never letting anything get me down to the stages of WWE, WWF,
Hmm.
and broke out of all that. And my point is to let them know you don't have to do what I did. Start from a different area, not from down under. So I really feel God let me go through all that. I really feel
Yeah, definitely.
God said, okay, I'm gonna let you go through all this, so I can give you a platform, and you can speak and tell everybody your story and let everybody know, hey, there's better things out there.
Wow. Wow, that's an experience for sure.
Yes,
Wow.
sir. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Matter of fact, again, that's just on YouTube. I don't know if you saw it on USWA. Jerry Lawler knew about it, wrote it into a TV script, and
He
we did the
did?
whole. Yeah, they told the whole thing on TV.
Oh
I
my
was act,
God.
I was actually Del Rios. Yes, they did the whole thing, and I remember it was hush hush for me.
Yeah.
But I told Burt Prentice. I told Burt Prentice everything that had happened to me, And Burt Prentice of course, ran back and told Jerry Lawler, and thought
Oh my God.
thought it was just an amazing story, and King said, okay, we're going to put it on TV. And Randy Hales, who was writing the TV at the time, thought it was great as well. So they just put it in there. I don't remember them saying, hey, is it okay if we do it? You know what I mean? They just did it. And I said, all right.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
I guess we got to roll with it,
Well, yeah, exactly. Now.
I can't tell them to rewrite TV,
No,
so
no.
I went ahead and did it. And it's not anything to be ashamed of now. To me, it was an experience that I had to go through for me to grow and mature and, be where I am right now.
Yeah, definitely. And
for sure.
I always ask my guests this when they're on the show, because I'm a big horror movie fan, and I don't know if you watch horror films, but are there any horror films you like?
To me, the all-time of all time was, of course, The Exorcist.
Oh my God, yeah, such a classic.
That's hard. And I see, the thing about that also is, what made that movie such a classic? It was the acting. You had some insane actors in there.
Yes.
It wasn't just the horror point. It wasn't just the fact that it was something supernatural going on. The acting was just unbelievable. You had the actors, Ellen Bernstein and Max von Sydow, were awesome. And then, of course, the priest, he was awesome. I mean,
yes.
Because then now people go, oh man, people like horrors. So then you got about hundreds of horror movies coming out, and you're like, all right, what's the point here? All right, you got some effects, but the acting is horrible.
I know.
It's absolutely horrendous.
I know.
And recently, well, not recently, because they've been on TV for 12 years, but The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Walking Dead to me was unbelievable. I had to watch every episode. I've watched at least 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
Really?
You miss things. When you watch it the second or the third time, you go, oh, I get it. I see what's going on here, and they were like real almost to me. Like, yeah, see, if something like this would happen to the world, that's probably how it would be.
Yeah, exactly. I know, everyone turning on each other, and
right, exactly. And you can't trust anybody.
I know.
And but then you'll get one guy who is all-American, and I'm talking about Rick Grimes. He was the all-American police officer that wants to keep order and do all the stuff. So that was pretty good. I've seen other ones that halfway through I'm like nodding my head going, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Wasting my life here.
Exactly.
But to me, and I'm trying to think really good. Nothing beats The Exorcist. I don't, not in my opinion. In my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of people go, "Oh, what are you talking about? This one was good." No,
that
then
was
they
like
butchered
a perfect horror film.
Perfect, and then they tried to do the second and the third, and they were absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, I didn't like them at all.
No, it was just what. Why do it?
I know.
But yeah, no, nothing beats that. And here's what the other point about that movie, because this is how classy it was. You didn't see any blood flying around.
Exactly.
You didn't see any goriness. You didn't see anything. You just knew there was something going on there that had you on the tip of your seat going, man, this is crazy. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't, to me, anybody, like I said, anybody can say anything else, and I respect it, but nothing beat The Exorcist. Nothing.
No, hands down, definitely.
Hands down, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, to this day, nothing. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Entertaining wise, I say The Walking Dead.
Okay.
That was pretty good. You know,
Okay. Okay.
the spinoffs are horrible. You know,
Yeah, they are.
Fear the
They
Walking Dead. Yeah, I'm like, come on, stop it. You know, oh
are.
no, you know, but yeah, The Exorcist for sure.
Definitely, yes. And I guess the last question I'll ask you is
Yeah,
where can fans follow you and keep up with appearances and stuff?
yeah, man. Well, you can, of course, you can get a hold of me on Facebook, Del Rios, or you can email me at delrios43 at gmail.com. Delrios43 at gmail.com. That's where a lot of the people are getting a hold of me. I'll be doing a wrestling convention in Ohio, and then I got the gathering coming up in North Carolina, and I got a couple of other dates. But you know, if you can hit me up on Facebook, you know, just DM me, or again, the email delrios43 at gmail.com, and we'll talk about, you know, seeing each other out there.
Awesome, buddy. Well, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your
Absolutely,
Thanksgiving
man.
to come on
Absolutely.
here, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure, man. This was my pleasure, man. And I want you and your family to have a great Thanksgiving. And we'll speak to you soon.
Definitely, bud. Definitely.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
All right. Have a good one, man.
All right, buddy.